What is going on, y'all? There are so many things to talk about in this patch, from the long-awaited Galactus changes to the newly arriving Conquest Mode, so let's dive in. Galactus has been changed. The World Eater has gone from a 6-cost 2-power card to a 6-cost 7-power card, but in exchange has gained an additional condition for using his ability. Now, instead of just having to not have any cards in your Galactus Lane, you also have to be winning the Galactus Lane, which I think is a pretty fair trade-off for what you're getting out of playing Galactus. This means that I expect good Galactus decks to be able to ensure that we are ahead in that lane and to make it a little bit hard to tell when we're going to actually play Galactus. The deck you see on screen accomplishes this by playing green and Hobgoblin in order to make sure there's a good lane for us to target, and then Nimrod in order to throw our opponent a little bit off the scent on that turn 5 when we might normally actually be playing Galactus off of an Electro. This list maintains the multiple lines of play of previous Galactus lists, being able to play Galactus on turn 5 with Electro, Hobgoblin backup, but it is a little bit harder to play Wave into Galactus, or at least it puts people in the same sort of 50-50 scenario. If they get the sense you're Galactus, they can just slap a big guy down, and something like Magneto is going to do a lot more work now, because if you put it in the Galactus lane, it's just off entirely. So Arrow, of course, being 1 power bigger than Galactus, now actually fully shuts him down as long as there is an even lane for that card to go into. On the whole, I think this is a good change to Galactus. Making his condition a little bit harder to achieve also means that they can tune him a little bit better. Now, Galactus losing power is actually really meaningful. This is now a card that can be addressed in OTAs, where the previous version of Galactus was not. So I think even if it still ends up being a strong card, and it might, this is still a very good change. Dazzler is also changing, going from a 4-cost 4-power card that got plus 6 power if every lane was full, to a 3-cost 2-power card that now scales with how many lanes are full. So if 2 lanes are full, she'll end up being a 3-6. If 1 lane is full, she is a 3-4. And if all the lanes are full, she is a 3-8. I think the fact that she costs 3 makes me want to consider playing her in a Sarah list, especially a Sarah Silver Surfer list that might already run Brood. Another option for that list would be running Mr. Sinister in our 2-cost slot, as that would help enable Dazzler, and Mr. Sinister being something that creates 2 bodies, gets extra benefit from the Nova and Killmonger that those lists commonly run. Finally, probably the least impactful change, Maria Hill, same cost, same power, but she's gaining the ability to give you a 2-cost card instead of just a 1-cost card. Now, you're not going to get a 1 and a 2-cost card, that might be a little bit too strong, but just giving her the ability to work with Quinjet again. After the Quinjet nerf, Maria Hill was arguably one of the most hard-hit cards, and she could not really afford to be hit by any kind of nerf. She wasn't very good in the first place. So now, giving her the ability to get that discount from Quinjet back if you get a 2-cost card does a little bit towards alleviating her woes. I don't necessarily think that this is going to be a big game changer for her, but it is nice that they know that they need to do something with her, and giving her a more defined role should help with this. Conquest is finally coming out. Conquest is competitive battle mode, where winning 10 cube games of Marvel Snap moves you up the tiers from the Proving Grounds to Infinity. The catch is, you can't lose when you're making that run. To enter a Conquest, you need to have a ticket. To get silver tickets, you have to complete the Proving Grounds. This takes 1 win. To get gold tickets, you have to complete the Silver Conquest. This takes 2 wins. To get Infinity tickets, you need to complete the Gold Conquest, which takes 3 wins. Finally, the Infinity Conquest takes 5 wins to complete. But don't worry, in each of these cases, if you do not complete the Conquest, you will still receive some rewards, you just won't receive the tickets. Another thing to keep in mind is that you will be able to pay gold to enter the Conquests. You can see the gold costs on the page here. You'll be required to pay this gold if you do not have a ticket, but you can earn all the tickets you need free to play as long as you devote a significant amount of time to playing. The Infinite Conquest is only available in the final week of a season. Now, this means that the intended function of the mode is that you spend all month preparing for the Infinite Conquest, farming your tickets from the Proving Grounds, then taking those tickets into the Silver Conquest, getting gold tickets, taking those into the Gold Conquest, and then using the Infinite tickets you get from the Gold Conquest in the final week of the season to farm Infinity Conquests. The Infinity Conquest rewards extra medals, we'll get to that later in the Conquest Shop, and also an infinite border for your avatar. So now you can customize your cosmetics and show off that you completed an Infinite Conquest. Do note that this season will be starting at week 2 of the Conquest season instead of week 1 due to when this specific patch was released. Here's what the Conquest Shop looks like. Now you'll notice on the previous screen that you got a bunch of medals. Here's where you spend the medals. Each week, a new section of the Conquest Shop opens. As you go through the Conquest Shop, you'll spend your medals and rack up points each time you buy something. If you buy 9 things in the Conquest Shop, you get the season exclusive variant. So as long as you are able to buy 9 things, you will get that special variant. It will require a decent amount of grinding. The medal prices in here are not cheap. Medal rewards end up getting better as you go into higher Conquest tiers. So this incentivizes players to take that risk and jump into the highest tier of competitive play available in Marvel Snap right now. Note again that you can get tons of good stuff from the medal shop, even if you aren't interested in the variant. They have credits, they have gold, they have avatars, they have titles. A bunch of interesting stuff is there. I was able to confirm the answers to a few questions that people will probably have about Conquest. First thing, boosters. When you play a Conquest game, a full game of battle mode, 10 cube health totals, you will get boosters for each turn played in the game. However, all of these boosters will go on to one card. So if you play a full game of battle mode and there end up being 30 total turns, you will get 30 boosters on one single card coming out of that one game of Conquest. Second, you will be able to switch decks between the battle mode games of Conquest. This means that you are not locked into playing the same deck the whole run. You will be able to switch off of it if something changes in the meta or if something changes in your deck, God forbid a nerf. Third, each Conquest season is self-contained. Everything that you earn from the Conquest, tickets, medals, it all only applies to that season. You cannot save that up and apply it to future seasons. Finally, and most importantly, you can grind the Proving Grounds as much as you like. And what I encourage everyone to do is enable what I call Conquest Communism. And what that means is everyone enters the Proving Grounds, snaps on turn 1, and whoever wins that game, well, they just win that version of the Proving Grounds. You just retreat after you lose, you're done, you queue up, you go next. And if we all do this, we can generate a ton of different ways for players that may or may not be able to overcome the financial or time barrier to really get people into this Conquest mode. So I heavily encourage everyone to engage in what I am tentatively calling Conquest Communism. People ask me a lot of people ask me what I think the meta will be like in Conquest. And to be honest with you, I think it'll resemble tournaments where people tend to play it a bit safe. However, because you can actually take a loss in a tournament, and you definitely cannot take a loss in Conquest mode or your Conquest run ends, you are going to be even more incentivized to play it safe. Let's take a look at some of the decks that I think are going to be good when the Infinite Conquest opens up, and you can take your time to learn them in battle mode right now. Here's an example of the kind of mid-range deck that just tends to have a lot of answers to everything it might see. You have Luke Cage for opposing high evolutionaries. You have Rogue for any ongoing abilities. You have Shang-Chi if you want him, but we have replaced him with Wave as an answer to Kitty Pryde. So basically, there are 3 or 4 slots in this list that you can customize as necessary to the metagame you expect, and the rest of it is just good cards that put the work in, help you curve out, help you get ahead. This list has been one of my most successful lists on ladder. It's very good at dealing with any number of awkward situations, and it is not to be underestimated. Another example of this style of deck, and this one will be a lot more familiar to y'all, is the Darkhawk Lad midrange deck. Again, the concept is the same. We have a very powerful thing to do proactively, Zabu, Rock Slide, Darkhawk, and we have all of these elite reactive tools, Wave, Killmonger, Shang-Chi, Enchantress, as a way of leveling the playing field. Of course, there's something of an advantage to just doing something that's inherently powerful, and High Evolutionary Lockjaw has been performing very well in tournaments recently. I believe 3 of the top 8 of the last Snap Battle Arena were this deck. It's very good into open fields. It generally just does strong things, creates big numbers, is easy to snap and retreat with, and is a generally powerful deck that is a good intro to battle mode because you will be able to understand when your deck is doing the powerful thing and when your deck is not doing the powerful thing. This is a straightforward, easy to play deck, and definitely one that is very powerful right now. High Evolutionary Control remains near the top of the metagame, although in battle mode it does get a little bit weaker because of poor matchups into High Evolutionary Lockjaw, which is actually a big part of why High Evolutionary Lockjaw is good to begin with. Now, one thing that High Evolutionary Control does have is a generally good matchup spread outside of that. It's very hard for this deck to get into true unwinnables, and so this is a great deck where you can use your skills to snap and use that along with your generally powerful game plan to take advantage of situations that other players might not be snapping in. This list will test your skill a fairly significant amount, but it is definitely rewarding once you get your snap timings down. I've talked a lot about not playing decks that just lose to one card, but frankly, if you're just trying to fly through the proving grounds as fast as possible, playing one of those decks might be the right option for you. Any kind of Kitty Pryde, Bounce, or Sarah list that probably just loses to Wave, but maybe doesn't, and probably just beats everything else is a great option for just playing quick games in the proving grounds since there's no real punish for that. You can enter the proving grounds as many times as you like, you can play it as recklessly as you'd like, and that means that a quick game deck like this could be a great option. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe if you've made it this far, and let me know what you think about the 2 major changes in this patch, the changes to Galactus and the introduction of Conquest Mode. I expect those are going to be the things that people are going to be wanting to talk about, so let me know what you think in the comments. Was this Galactus change enough? Are you still going to be playing the card? And what do you think about Conquest Mode? Is that where you're going to spend your time? I'm interested in hearing the answers to those questions. Let me know. As always, I have been KM Best. You have good luck out there on the first day of Conquest Mode. Thank you.